Hello, everyone. We are live. Can you do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen, and give me a number one if I'm coming in loud and clear? And during today's video, this morning's video, I asked if you could see like a little flicker, and I can still see a flicker. I have no idea where that's coming from. Maybe it's because I have LED lights. I think that my lights up there are LED. Let me turn them off real quick and see what happens. Let's see if that fixes it. Let me know if you see it, just in case I don't notice it. Because I have a couple of lights up here in the ceiling, and they may be working against each other. So if you don't mind the lighting like this, we're going to go with it this way. Evita, how are you doing? JR, my friend, how are you? Billy, how you doing? JT is in the house. Yarn Prepper, Jan, how you ladies doing? Al Palmer is Ann Palmer from the great state of Louisiana. How you doing, Ann? Dale? Let's see. Forrest is in the house. A9 is in the house. Jan, how are you? Good to see you. Let's see. Michael Stacking, how you doing? Good to see you. What do you all think about gold's action today, ladies and gentlemen? Crazy or what? We're going to talk a little bit about gold, but we're going to talk a little bit about something that, in my opinion, is even way more important than gold or wealth preservation. And of course, we're going to go ahead and cover any questions that you may have during the live stream. Just make sure that once you do ask a question or have something to share with the community, that is all in caps. But I would ask that we wait until after I give my spiel. That way I don't miss, or I won't miss as many questions. Let's see. Skipping Rocks, how you doing? Rodney, how are you? Ed Kirkpatrick, how are you doing? I'm getting a 5x5 now. All right. You know what? I don't see that little flickering anymore ever since I turned off that one light. I guess we're going to have to roll like this from now on. Right, Skipping Rocks, I'm getting a 1. The All-American 101, how are you doing? From South Carolina. Good to see you. Let me move this over here a little bit. That way I'm not looking away from you guys so much. Michael Eversberg gives me a 5x5x5x5x5. Nasir, how you doing? Dana, let's prep. Good to see you. Deb Smith, Christine, Colorado Pack Prepper, Fran Moyer, Suzanne Courtney, F. Pier. I think I said hello to Forrest, and if I didn't, hello, Forrest. Let's see. Kevin Grip. Thank you, Kevin, for becoming a member of the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. Good to see you, my friend, by the way. Let's see. Marilyn, Linda Bob, Randy Brown, Cranky Old Lady is here. Lydia, Beautiful Garden. Let's see. Linda Mitchell, Boris, the Prepping Mantis is here. Monique Edwards. How are you doing? This is Monique's first live stream. Let's welcome her into our chat, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Monique. It's great to have you here. Let's see. Oops says, howdy, Rudy, from Tennessee. Just remember, when gold goes up, the dollar goes down. Well, not always, but yes. In this case, I noticed that the Dixie, or the dollar index, did go down, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40, I think, maybe basis points or something like that. But I think that the main reason why gold is going up is because supply and demand. Central banks are still buying gold at a feverish rate, ladies and gentlemen. And also, there's hedge funds, I think, are going to start to dip their feet in the pond as far as gold goes. But it's also the fundamentals. Inflation is a leading indicator. Okay, let me go ahead and bring this down, and we'll talk about gold for a little bit. 20 on pump 5. How you doing? Good to see you. Inflation, ladies and gentlemen, and as you all know, inflation is the increase of the money supply. And that's a leading indicator to the price of commodities, to the price of assets, etc. Meaning that if they print $1 trillion today and put it out into the economy today, the price of things aren't going to go up today, and equivalent to the amount of money that they put out in the economy. Usually it takes between 6 months to 12, 18 months before that starts to show up. Now, we've definitely seen a lot of the inflation in the price of things show up since they inflated the money supply by like 40% of all of the money that's ever existed since the beginning of this nation. But there's still a lot more out there that has not shown itself in the price of assets, in the price of gold. Look at Bitcoin, how it's shooting up as well. So I believe that this is just the beginning of an era of a 10, 12-year bull market, just like happened in the early 70s. So, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. A lot of other people think that as well, that are a lot smarter than me when it comes to precious metals, their fundamentals, and their technical analysis as well. And I want to show you something real quick. Take a look at this. I haven't seen a chart like this in a very long time. It almost looks like a chart for a cryptocurrency that has gone parabolic. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. That is crazy. That right there, what you're looking at is the chart of gold. And this is just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is just the last week. So right here, where you see my little hand right there, that was at 2032. That was last week, about 7 days ago, on the 29th of February. And look at where it is now. And the thing is there's really no resistance above it. So the sky is really the limit. I don't think that it's going to go parabolic per se, but I do believe that we've entered into a bull market that's going to last years. And people that don't get into gold today because they think it's going to get slammed down or whatever, they're not realizing why it is that you acquire precious metals. Before I continue, I'm not a financial advisor. I have to say that because I'm on the internet. Anyways, people have to remember why it is that you have precious metals. Why do I get precious metals per se? All right, mostly silver. Not only because it's the common man's gold, right? Common man's money, but because I think in the end it's going to make the biggest move up in comparison to gold as far as percentages, right? So why is it that I think precious metals is something that's good to have? It's not necessarily so that it will protect your purchasing power. That is a very big part of it. Yes, I want to make sure that the money that I earn, the fiat currency that our government makes us use in order to transact, all right? I want to make sure that that fiat currency that I earn keeps its purchasing power from the day that I earned it, not from the day that I use it. So, for example, if you earned $1 5 years ago, you very well know that you cannot buy the same thing today with the dollar that you earned 5 years ago. So if you would have kept that dollar that you earned 5 years ago in the form of a dollar, fiat currency dollar, today you would have lost a lot of purchasing power. However, if you would have taken that dollar 5 years ago, let's say 2018, I think I remember, and I did an exercise like this on a video here a while back, comparing it to 2018 and to today. If you would have taken that dollar in 2018 that you earned and turned it into silver or into gold, today you would have been able to keep up with inflation and be able to cash in that silver or gold that you turned that dollar into and buy the same stuff that that dollar would have bought you back in 2018. That is one of the major reasons why I believe we should all have, precious metals as far as it protecting our purchasing power. And of course, it's God's money. It was put on the earth so that we can use a form of exchanging value for value that is fair and that we can't be cheated with, as long as we use that as the currency slash money, not as long as we let some money changers manipulate it into their money, which is what's happened here in the last several decades, if not century plus, really more than a century now. But the main reason, ladies and gentlemen, why I believe it's so important to have gold or silver to protect you is because it is the ultimate insurance against governments. Any government that fails means that the monetary currency that government issued fails as well. So any government that you've seen out there in the world throughout your lifetime that's failed, that's been a failed government, the currency failed as well, meaning that everything that you've saved throughout your lifetime in that currency will be worth absolutely zero. Do I think, that that's going to happen to the United States of America? That our currency is going to go to zero, that is going to become worthless? Eventually it will, but it's going to take a while. What I believe is that the currency, the fiat currency, i.e. the Federal Reserve note, i.e., as it's known, the dollar, will become worth less, 2 words, not one, year after year after year, therefore stripping you of your wealth without most people even knowing that that's why the price of bread is going up every time that they go to the store. So do I believe that precious metals have a part to play in everyone's prep? I definitely believe it. However, I always have to follow that up with this notion, and that is that if you are not prepared, if you don't walk into your pantry and say, man, everything is looking really good. If I couldn't leave my house for the next 2 or 3 months, starting right now, I'd be okay because I have all the food that my family needs. I have power generation. I have fuel backup. I have this. I have toothpaste. I have toothbrushes. I have toilet paper. I have rice. I have beans. I have everything I need for my family to survive an extended period of time in case there is a major crisis that would keep us from being able to get those things that make our standard of living the one that we like to live. If you can't say that, then I would say that you should get to a point where you can say that, where you are comfortable that your preparations will get you to where you want them to get you before you start taking your excess wealth, which is what I like to call it, because the wealth that you have to turn into gold or silver, real money, should be your excess wealth, meaning that you're already prepared, you have an emergency fund. Even having cash is something that I think should be part of your preparations, some emergency cash on the side, just in case. Again, I don't think the dollar is going to go to zero overnight, but I think it's going to become greatly devalued in front of people's eyes. And what happened here in the last few days with gold going up the way it did is that the dollar against gold has become greatly devalued just in the last few days. I think it was a change of about, I don't know, 10% or so, which is a huge change, excuse me, a huge percentage when it comes to gold being valued in dollars. And obviously, I mentioned it during today's video that we had witnessed a time in history when gold had surpassed 2,200 USD for the first time ever. And that actually happened while I was recording this morning's video. So I thought that I'd slip it in there for a quick 10-15 second mention of that because it's never happened before. It's a little bit below 2,200 right now. I think it's like 2,189 or something like that. Let's take a look and see what it is. Let's see. Let me get this off of here. Let me bring it back up. Boom, boom. Okay, let's see what it is. This is SD Bullion site. Right now it's 2189. Okay, 2189. And that's something else I would like to talk about. Take a look at that number, 2189. And I remember talking to people 5 years ago. You know, gold, in my opinion, is the long game. It's not the short game. In my opinion, cryptocurrencies is also the short game. It's the long game, but it's also a short game where you can make quick gains that you can therefore cash out and turn into real money, in my opinion, right? But gold and silver, in my opinion, is the long game. But I remember back when gold was $1,200-$1,300 an ounce just a few years back, not that long ago. And people were like, I'm never going to buy that. You know, it's not going to do anything for you, etc. Look at what the premium was. People are always talking about, well, the premium is X, right? And how long is it going to take me for that premium to be made up with the price of gold going up? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if you take a look at the numbers, the premium has, I think that the last time that I bought a small piece of gold, it was at $2,030. And with the premium, it was at like $2,087 or something like that. And just a few months later, the premium has already been made up for and then some. But if you're looking at purchasing gold for whatever reason, you shouldn't look at it to get it to hold it for like a month or two. It should be for a very long time. So anyways, I wanted to go ahead and cover that really quick because I think it's a historic moment in time in history, and it shows where we are as far as inflation goes. And ladies and gentlemen, we still have a long way to go when it comes to gold and silver. But the thing is that I don't believe that anyone's going to get rich on gold or silver. I think that it's going to do what it's supposed to do, meaning that it's going to protect your purchasing power. And if anything, that is what I would say you should get gold or silver for, so that it will protect your purchasing power. All right, let's see. Well, hey, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Cutting Tool Designer. You're awesome. You're always supporting. Thank you very much for that. Let's see. Okay, north of the 52nd, how are you doing? Oh, you know, before I forget, let me mention Opus has an awesome sale, a really awesome sale. I didn't know that it was going to be this good when I asked them to give me that 20% off coupon for the Opus 2400. But they have a really good sale if you're looking to buy a bundle like a 2400 with some solar panels. I actually got contacted by one of our community members today saying, hey, I ended up paying more for that 2400 and solar panels with your 20% off. And it's because when I mentioned that, it was just for the 2400. It's the best price I've ever seen just for the 2400. But I didn't know they were going to have bundles of 2400s with solar panels at an incredible price. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the market for a solar generator, go check out Opus. Someone today emailed me and asked me, what do you like better, Opus or Blue Eddy? The truth is that I think that they're both very, very good quality solar generators. Unfortunately, Opus is pretty much the only solar generator company that takes the time and expense to ship me solar generators. And that's one of the reasons why I really like them a lot. But I've abused these machines. I've used them an awful lot. They've never let me down, and they do exactly what they say they're supposed to do. I'm actually doing an experiment that's ongoing right now. Early this winter, I asked Opus to send me a small Mighty Mouse. I call it the Mighty Mouse, the Opus 600. I love that little guy. And they said, why do you want me to send you an extra one? I was like, well, because I'm not sure if what I'm going to do is going to ruin it. So what I've done is I've left it outside in the winter, all winter long, at negative 40 degrees, negative 45 degrees, with the fluctuation in temperatures and everything. And I've actually used it a couple of times outside during some of my tent testing videos where I camped out in my yard testing a tent at negative 20 or negative 25, whatever it was, right? So I've kept it outside in those temperatures all winter long. I'm going to wait until like the middle of our summer, right? To see if it's able to maintain a full charge, if I can charge it up to 100%, if it's still working fine after leaving it outside under those conditions for an entire winter. So like I said, they do what they're supposed to do. They do what they tell you they're going to do. And I just think that they're a great bang for your buck. You're really getting what you paid for with these. Now, let's talk about Blue Eddy. I think Blue Eddy is an outstanding solar generator. I really do. There's one thing that I've always not liked about Blue Eddy, right? As far as the construction, as far as the quality, all great. I just don't like single points of failure, ladies and gentlemen, meaning that with Blue Eddy, you only with a lot of their new machines, I can't talk about all of them, all right? Some of their legacy models are buttons, are push buttons, right? But a lot of their new models, it's a touch screen where you have to touch the screen and operate it that way. I just personally don't like touch screens because if something happens to that touch screen, that's it. You're done. You can't use it for anything. With a lot of the new Opus models, with the new Mega series, you have buttons, and I really like buttons. Buttons is something that if it gets stuck, you can actually fix it. But in addition to that, you can also download the app for it and control it with your app as well. So there's more than one point of failure device on the Opus, and I just like buttons. I like stuff that's simple, that when you turn it on, you know it's on. When you want to turn it off, you turn it off. Anyways, I turned that into a book. Uh, Again, if you're looking for any good deals on solar generators, Opus is having an awesome deal. And make sure that you use my 5% off code, because I believe that even with the sales they've got going on, which are pretty awesome, you can still use my 5% off code and get an extra 5% off that. Let's see. Nuria, how are you doing? The Survival Buzz, how are you? Let's see if any of you have anything to say here about some of the gold information that I just gave you. Let's see. Evita says, good news, 4 12-ounce cans of Butterfield Farms roast beef for 10. Wow, that's a great deal. That comes out to a little bit over $2.50 per can, $2.65 per can, roughly. That is a great deal. Good for you, Evita. I would be stocking up on that right there. Paul Sargent, how you doing? Good to see you. I don't mind pressure canning. I actually enjoy pressure canning. But if you can buy like canned beef or canned chicken or whatever you like at a better price in the can already, canned for you, than what you can by buying it raw and packing it and everything, then I would just rather buy them in the can. I don't mind pressure canning. You know, I enjoy doing it, but I'm not going to do it if I'm not going to save money doing it, right? Unless the cans that are on sale maybe don't have ingredients that you like. But if you're getting a good quality meat that's in a can, it's usually a couple of ingredients like the meat plus a little salt and maybe one or two other ingredients that aren't really bad for you. Battleborn from the Silver State. That must be Nevada, right? Battleborn? Yep, Nevada. I always ask, and then I take a look at your thumbnail all the way from Nevada. All right. Let's see. Bring it. And silver, ladies and gentlemen, only because silver hasn't made a crazy upward move like gold, we all know that silver, and if you don't know it, silver historically has always lagged behind gold. All right. Usually, when gold makes these crazy highs and goes on its bull run, silver hangs out a little bit and just keeps jogging instead of running, and then it turns on its afterburners. That's usually how it goes. Oh man, I'll tell you what, Angela. Angela says life is getting very hard, very expensive to live, and don't feel defeated because you're not alone. Trust me, you're definitely not alone, Angela. But there's always something you can do. It's easy for me to say because I'm not experiencing your struggle per se directly the same way that you are. But definitely don't give up. You can handle it. You can make it. There's, I mean, I don't know what to say, but you can make it. You know, I definitely don't want to tell you, yeah, give up. You know, no, definitely not, man. And ladies and gentlemen, when it comes down to it, what we're going through here, it comes down to bad money. Right? A lot of people just don't understand it. Bad money. And you know, and actually, I seen a couple of people, or at least one person, get frustrated about me talking about that on a previous video, and I just wish that people that didn't want to hear my message would just go away, right? Because sometimes it gets tiring to see the same message all the time. It's like people have no lives sometimes, and they don't know that they're going to suffer, if not just as much, a lot more than the average person, because they're not taking things seriously. And yes, this is something that we need to take seriously. The theft of your labor, the theft of your time, your freedom, is something that you ought to take seriously, and something that you ought to talk about as much as you possibly can. That way it doesn't happen to your children during their generation when they're coming up, and their children, because it's going to continue to happen, ladies and gentlemen, if we allow it. And it's because of what the money changers have done to the money. They've taken God's money and they've perverted it and turned it into their money. That's why I've often stated that when you hear the verse that says that one day they will be taking their gold and silver and throwing it onto the street, the key word in that verse is there. Is that these money changers, these politicians, these crooked representatives that we've put in office, they've taken God's money and they've turned it into their money by manipulating it into a piece of paper that has no value, but by propagandizing the population into thinking that that piece of paper does have value when it has none. So they've taken it and made it into their gold and silver. And that is the money that I believe that they're talking about when they say they'll throw their gold and silver onto the street, because it's not God's money. It's been tainted. And that money has allowed the cabal, if you want to call it, to steal your wealth for decades, if not for over a century now. Incredible. Paul Sargent, that is awesome, man. That is awesome. I think that when I say that you should preserve wealth, this right here is a great way to preserve wealth. You can't go wrong. Make sure you're rotating that food. Make sure you're rotating it. All right. And I would say that you're probably ready to start putting a little bit of your excess wealth in gold and silver, having that much food. Okay, let's see. I'm looking. I'm looking. Hello, Lisa Foster. How are you doing? Good to see you. All right, let's see. Jerry Montejano, how are you doing? Good to see you. Blanca Howard, Zelda Me, how are you? Good to see you. Paul Sargent says, this guy ain't going to be eating bugs for years. I've got 6 years of food in my basement. If you need anything to motivate you, it should be that, right, Paul? Let's see. Oh yeah, good thing. Just so as you know, Nutrient Survival, every Friday they do a payday prep. And I believe that this Friday's payday prep is 15% off any bundle. So go onto their site and don't use my code, but use their code that they offer you for that payday prep, 15% off. And I think that their payday preps go through the weekend. But go check that out, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that don't know about Nutrient Survival, it's obviously the very best freeze-dried food that there is. You're not going to find anything more nutritious in the freeze-dried food or even a lot of food category as far as the nutrients go, the Nutrient Survival. So that's awesome. Bob Bueller asks, I just got my 2400. Does the fan stay on whenever it's powered up? Mine won't show. Oh, no, it shouldn't stay on whenever it's powered up, Bob. Go ahead and turn it off and then power it back up and use it with something. Make sure that it's not somewhere where the temperature is too hot or too low. All right. And if it doesn't shut off and you're like, let's say 60-degree temperature, 70-degree temperature, that shouldn't be too hot. Or if your fan is on and you don't have a little, like a temperature thing icon saying that it's too hot or too cold, you may want to contact them and have it returned. All right. But check all of those things first because it should not stay on all the time. That I can tell you for a fact. Okay. And these things happen. They've probably made, I don't know how many thousands of OUPES they've made. You're going to get one now and then that just doesn't pass the QC, but it definitely shouldn't stay on all the time. So if you like, send me an email after you've tried all that stuff and let me know what happens. Let me know if it turns off, and let me know, what's happened. Try charging it 100% full. I don't know if you've tried charging it full. Try all of those things first. Because I remember when I got my first 2400 in that they sent me for me to review, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years ago, maybe now. I thought there was something wrong with one of the inputs, and it was me. It was user error. Right. So, but I'm not saying it's user error on your part, but it can have a faulty unit now and then. So I'm not saying it's not. Let's see, bringing it down some. Yeah, I think I showed you all what gold closed at least at SD Bullion. It's closed at, let's see, what's it at? At 2189 is what it closed at. And that right there is the ask price, 2189. The futures, I think it's like 2179 is the futures on the gold. How you doing, McBean? Good to see you, John. Okay, let's see here. Michael Eversberg asks, I keep hearing about gold IRAs on radio as well on internet, but I have reservations in getting involved in this venture when it comes down to gold and silver. I will need to go far. I will need to go far to buy. Now, let me tell you what, I believe that if you don't own it, you don't hold it. All right. Well, AP, if you believe that you don't own it, you don't hold it, then why is one of your sponsors a gold and silver IRA? All right. One of my gold and silver sponsors, Genesis Gold Group, they do IRAs. You can buy physical, but they also do IRAs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the reason is because there are some people that don't have a choice but to have an IRA. And when I think about these things, I think about what I would do. All right. And then I decide, well, yep, I'll share that notion with everyone else. And at least it gives you an idea as to why I would do something that maybe I wouldn't even recommend if the conditions were different. So let's say, for example, that I have an IRA and that I'm still working and that I can't leave my job for another 10 years. Let's just say, because I'm not going to give up my seniority. I still need to work. I still need to pay off my house. I still need to earn a living on a day-by-day basis or a weekly basis, depending on when you get paid. So I would rather have that IRA. First of all, I would stop putting money into my IRA. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you what I would do. and what I've actually done in the past, I would stop putting money into my IRA. Why is that? Because I don't trust the stock market. Yep, the stock market has gone nothing but up, right, ladies and gentlemen? It has gone nothing but up, right? But one day it's going to crash, and you're not going to know, right? The average person on the street is not going to know when that market is going to come down, and you're not going to know how long it's going to take for you to recoup what you lost. During the Great Depression, 1929, it took 26 years before the market was whole again, meaning it took 26 years before the market got back up to where it was before it crashed. And the question that I would have is, do I have 26 years to wait? If I have an IRA right now and the market crashes tomorrow, do I have 26 years to wait until that market makes itself whole again, like it did back in the Great Depression? I think 2008 took like 11 years before the market made itself whole again, right? So do you have 5 years? Do you have 10 years? Do you have 20 years to wait if you're that close to retirement? I don't trust the stock market. I think that the stock market is a casino, and the house always wins. Ladies and gentlemen, that's me. That's what I think. So before I would leave my money in an IRA that someone is managing, right, that are taking fees out of that as well, I would rather transfer it over to a gold IRA where I can have that in real money. Now, you have to do your own homework. I have a couple of sponsors that have to do with gold and silver, but I think I've mentioned this an awful lot of times, right? And I'll mention it again. Only because I have one or two sponsors doesn't mean that you can only use one or two of those sponsors. I always recommend that, even though I say, hey, I have Genesis Gold Group, I have ITM Trading, go and check 4 or 5 others. Don't ever just check 1 or 2, no matter how much you trust whoever it is that you're watching on YouTube. Don't ever just go off of 1 or 2. Go and get as many, different types as you can. Get as many different IRA specialists as you can that have to deal with precious metals. Don't just go with the 1 or 2 that someone recommends and that someone is sponsored by. Why? Because competition, ladies and gentlemen, competition is the very best thing for you, the consumer. With competition, you are the one that wins. The consumer is the one that wins. And with the more competition that there is, the better deal you're going to get in the end. And I would mention that to them. When you're talking with them, mention it to them. Well, I just wanted to get your numbers, see what they look like, and then I'm going to compare them to 3 or 4 other that I'm going to look up and go, give them a call as well. That's what I would do. So I would rather have that money, that fiat currency, transferred over to a gold IRA or silver gold IRA, whatever it is, bimetallic, than to leave it in the stock market and take that chance. And who knows, the stock market might melt up, just like in Venezuela. The stock market in Venezuela went up to 3 million or something like that. Same thing may happen here. But if that happens in this case, then you also know that gold and silver will melt up as well, protecting your purchasing power. So that's what I have to say about that. Let's see who else we got. Lord Dragon, how you doing? And thank you. What is the BMS testing fail voltage on OUPES? BMS is the battery management system. It's the battery management system that determines whether the voltage coming in is going to damage your battery inside, I believe, and therefore it won't allow it to charge. So that's what the BMS is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but look it up, all right? Because I've seen too many different solar generators. But I know that BMS is the battery management system. In layman terms, it's supposed to protect your solar generator from getting a voltage input that's too high. That'll fry your system. And I think that for the OUPES is 50,000 millivolts or something like that. I forget what it is, but that's what the BMS is. Hey, SR, how you doing? Good to see you. Simpure have replacement filters for a Berkey equal or better. Got my tube of silver SD, Atepa stove, freeze-dried food waiting on the gas, and nutrient survival Simpure OS. What I'm thinking that you're trying to tell me, SR, is that you're getting prepped up pretty good. And yes, those Simpure filters that look like the Berkey filters I ordered some. If you saw my last payday prep, I ordered a couple of sets because I like them that much. And I actually, just so you know, I didn't order them because I get a special deal. I paid full price for them, which is fine. Well, I actually use my 20% off, of course, right? But I think it's a great deal for those filters. I mean, you can't beat it, and I think they do a great job. They haven't been around that long, so I can't say that I've been using them for the last 10 years, but I'm pretty impressed with them so far, and I would have no problem using them during any kind of a crisis where I needed to make sure that I had potable water. All right, let's see. Bringing it down. What time is it? Okay, I'm going to try to make this one about an hour, maybe no more than a little over an hour, ladies and gentlemen, because we have somewhere to be tonight. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that commercial should be over by now, Yarn Prepper. That's how far behind I am on the comments here, on the chats. I'm about 10 minutes behind, so be patient, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question out there and I haven't seen it yet. Yes, I'm also affiliated with SD Bullion, and I believe that SD Bullion just started doing IRAs too. So check out SD Bullion too. And SD Bullion is a really good company as well, ladies and gentlemen. I try my very best to partner with companies that are good companies that have good people behind them. Every once in a while in the past, maybe something happens here or there that's out of our control, really, but those are the laws of averages. No matter how good something is, eventually a hiccup will occur here or there. That's just the way that life is, really. Oh, man, isn't that awesome, Passionate Herbs? That homestyle scramble is awesome. And you know what? I have to do a video about this. I haven't done it yet, but a little more than a couple of years ago, I put 2 cases of nutrient survival under my tent and have left them there during the summer, during the winter for the last couple of years now. And the first year I tested out their eggs, their vitamin eggs, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with them. And now that we're a little over 2 years, I have to go in there and get a case of something else out, or a number 10 can of something else out, so we can try it out and see how it's done after 2 years in the elements, with the temperature fluctuations all the way with 100 degree Fahrenheit to negative 40, negative 45 Fahrenheit. And for those of you that ask, does it get 100 degrees Fahrenheit in Fairbanks, Alaska? No, it doesn't. But when it's under the tent and the sun is beaming on that tent, it does get about 100 degrees in there sometimes, depending on where the sun is hitting it and for how long. So yeah, it gets pretty warm in there in the summer. So it's not necessarily 100 degrees outside. It's just in there. It's trapping on. It's global warming inside the tent. All right. So it's tent warming. That's why it gets so hot in there. Lord Dragon the Red. I'm sorry that I'm losing your respect. I just noticed that. Let's see why I'm losing your respect. And actually, I saw a keyword in there. And I think we talked about it last time, but we'll talk about it again so I don't lose your respect. Okay. Why am I struggling to get you to talk about the EMP explosive risk of lithium batteries? Why did you dismiss my super chat question? The public needs to know. Let's see. Where's your super chat question? Okay. Your super chat question was, what is the BMS testing fail voltage on OUPES? I think I answered that question. I told you that the battery management supply or battery management system is something that's supposed to protect the battery or the system within the OUPES if you have a high voltage coming in. I think that's what I said, or something like it. Okay. Now, as far as an EMP, I don't know, Dragon. I don't know what would happen to a solar generator or a lithium battery or a lithium iron phosphate battery if there is an EMP. Let me know if there's anyone here that knows what would happen to a solar generator. I have no idea what would happen to a solar generator. Can I speculate? I guess I can speculate. I guess one of the things that could happen is that it could catch on fire. I don't know. But if you all remember, there was a coronal mass ejection. I would think it was in 1989 or something like that in Canada that took out their entire grid. Now, I'm sure that in 1989 there wasn't the amount of lithium ion batteries and stuff like that they are now, but we didn't hear of any fires going off because there were batteries going off because of that coronal mass ejection. It was a big enough coronal mass ejection that took out their grid for a while, and it did a really good job on it. I didn't hear of any kind of fires coming from batteries because of that. That is the closest that I can talk about something happening that would be similar to an EMP. But I can't sit here and tell you what an EMP would do to a lithium iron phosphate battery because I don't know. And if you know someone that knows the answer to that, please get them to contact me because I would love to know. But I can speculate is all I can do, Dragon. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what. I mean, look behind me. Do I look like I'm worried? Do I look like I'm worried about an EMP or a coronal mass ejection hitting the earth and getting batteries to catch on fire? There's an OUPES 2400, right? There's a B2, I think, battery or B5 battery. There's the OUPES Mega 2. Under it, there's the OUPES Mega 3 inside my structure. So I'm not very worried about it. Maybe I should be worried about it. I don't know, but I'm not sure that anybody really knows because I don't remember the last time that there was an EMP that was done on any country or any part of a country. So forgive me if I don't know, but I can't tell you something that I don't know. And I'm not going to make something up that sounds good just to talk up a brand or something like that. I just have no idea. Thank you for the question, by the way. That is a good question, but I thought I had covered it, and I'm not trying to hide anything. I hate to ask thoughts on the rhetoric between NATO countries and the prospect of conflict with Russia. It seems to have ramped up the last few days. I'm sorry to be. Oh, no, don't be sorry. First of all, thank you, Big Bad John, for the super chat. And don't be sorry. A question is a question. The best I can tell you is what? I don't know. So, in my opinion, NATO wants there to be a war. And I'm going to go back to the same thing that I've always gone to. And you're probably getting tired of hearing it. The reason that I keep going back to it is because I believe it's true. I believe they need to start a war. Why, though? Because in order for them to keep control, they have to start a war so that they can divert our attention away from the fiat currency that is about to become worthless. That's why. Because in order for them to keep control, they have to get we, the population, together to in one common thing, one common theme. So I believe that, unfortunately, I believe that they're going to have to do something crazy that will make the American people say, there's the next boogeyman. That's the boogeyman. We have to go get that boogeyman. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that we can say, okay, the reason why we have to work twice as much now to get the same amount of stuff is because we have to go to war because of this boogeyman over here who's never really attacked a country really that I know of, but we have to go to war because of this boogeyman. All right, and that's just the way it's always been, and we humans have always fallen for that. So I mean, take a look at NATO over the last I don't know how many decades. Take a look at how many new NATO countries there have been that Russia was told that they weren't going to encroach upon Russia's border. Now, take a look at how many NATO countries there are. It seems that someone has not kept their words. I am not justifying any kind of war. I'm not justifying invasion. I think anyone that's been here long enough knows that my position on war is that war brings nothing but sorrow. The only ones that lose are the people. It's never the people that sent their citizens to war that lose. It's the people that go to war, the people that are supposed to be represented by those politicians that failed at their job and ended up taking us to war. But I believe that they don't have anywhere else to go. Take a look at the Federal Reserve. They have nowhere else to go. They can't bring rates up. They can't bring rates down. What are they going to do? The easiest thing to do is take us to war. That will take care of all of their problems. I mean, that's just what I think, ladies and gentlemen. I can be 100% wrong. Let me know why it is. Let me know why you think it is that we are so, intent on going to war. And when I say we, I don't mean we the people. I mean the government. Not only our government, but the governments of Western nations. Why are they so intent on going to war, no matter who it's with? Because it's always war after war after war. When is the last time? Look, and I know I'm all over the place. My daughter is about to finish high school here in another year and a half or so. Okay. Her entire life, this country has been at war in one way or another, either directly or indirectly, like we are now. Her entire life. She'll never know anything what it's like to be living in a society and an economy that is not war-based like we are. That where people haven't been going to war, where people haven't been lost in war, that that they come back in a body bag and stuff like that. All right. How many years has this country, the United States of America, how many years have we existed? Out of that many years, how many years have we not been at war? It's like a lot more years at war than what we have not been at war. It's the tool that they always use to, number one, bring the country together, saying, hey, there's the new boogeyman. And number two, to keep us under control. I don't know. That's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments. There's one other thing that I want to go over that I think is very important. No, Kathleen Maddox, that's a great question. Let me tell you now. AP, is there an OUPES that can run everything, including an HVAC? Or should I get a Generac? No, there is not. And I would never recommend one if they had one that was like 12,000 kilowatts or something like that. No, there is not. And if you don't have a gas generator, I always recommend that you get a gas generator first before you get something else, before you get a solar generator. I believe you should always have a gas generator first before you get a solar generator. You can control how much fuel you set aside for an emergency, but you can't control whether the sun's going to come out the next day or not. All right. So that's why I say always get a gas generator first. Now, if you have a gas generator already, all right, and you're in the market to get a solar generator, man, a solar generator complements a gas generator and vice versa. All right. You can actually save a little bit of money in gas if you have a solar generator and a gas generator and you have a long-term power outage. But absolutely, if you want to power an HVAC, get your gas generator first and get a big one. All right, get a big one because you're going to need a big one. That's right. Mario, how you doing, Mario? First of all, and you hit it right on the money. This is a great comment. The stock market is a zero-sum game. People trade the stock market at a rate faster than anyone has the time to do so. So only those who are well-trained and doing should attempt it. And what I really like about this comment is the very first part. The stock market is a zero-sum game, meaning that if somebody wins, somebody loses. All right, ladies and gentlemen. And who do you think is going to win? Maybe it's those big banks and corporations that have super fast computers that are really close to the stock market, right? So that they can get their trading in and out as fast as possible. There's no way that you can keep up with it. Now, there's a lot of really good trading courses out there. If there's anyone here that wants to trade the stock market, I'm not affiliated with this. He doesn't even know I'm doing this. Go check out Jay Bravo's channel, right? I call him Johnny Bravo. Go check out Jay Bravo's channel. He is an awesome trader and his system works, right? I've taken his course a couple of years ago. I've taken his course and it is an awesome course and you will learn a lot, right? So go check out his system and he doesn't even charge that much for it. He should be charging 5 times more than what he charges for it. So go check out his course and check out his channel. You'll learn a lot just from watching his channel. And he's really, really funny. Okay. He's very funny. Let's see, bringing it down some. I think that the other subject that we were going to talk about today, I think I'm going to save that for Sunday's video. I think it'll be a standalone video, and then maybe I'll do a news video as well for Sunday. Because this other subject that I want to talk about, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want to spoil it for you, is something that is extremely important, and it's not something that I want to rush through. Right? I want to take my time with it, and if you have kids, if you have children that are, I would say, middle schoolers or above, make sure they watch that video that I put out on Sunday about what I'm going to talk about, because it's going to determine whether or not our country in the long term will fail or will prevail as a free society. In my opinion, of course. Travis Rose, question: would you recommend trading gold for silver? Silver is cheap now and gold is high. Just wanted to know your opinion. This, of course, Travis, thank you for the question. It's 100% my opinion. All right, I have to say that. And what I would do is I like to be diversified. So let's say, for example, this is a 2-ounce coin. Isn't this a pretty coin, by the way? I got this from Alaska Rare Coins. It's a Scottsdale, I think. I just think that's, and it's a stackable, so you can stack them on top of each other. Uh, I like to be diversified, not only in food stuff, not only in preps, meaning have backups to your backups, but also in precious metals. So the rule that I try to live by is that for every, let's say let's say for every 1 ounce of silver, or for, excuse me, let's say for like every 100, or for you it may be 200 ounces of silver that you should have 1 ounce of gold. Right? So for like every 100 ounces of silver that you have, you've collected 100 ounces of silver. Now you're going to be like, all right, now I'm going to save up and get 1 ounce of gold because I got 100 ounces of silver. And then once you get that ounce of gold, you'll go back to collecting silver until you have another 100, and you'll keep doing that forever, right? Dollar cost averaging. Now, if you have a well-diversified metals position, meaning that you have gold and silver, then I would say don't even bother. Just continue to do what you're doing, because obviously it's working if you're stacking up and you're diversified in the silver and the gold. Why do I think it's important to have both gold and silver? Number one, you never know when you're going to have to leave your home. If you have to leave your home right now and you need to make sure that you take some real money with you, are you going to take 120 pounds of silver with you? Or are you going to take the equivalent 1 pound, 1.5 pound of gold with you, right? And I'm just making those numbers up, okay, ladies and gentlemen, but I think you know what I'm saying, is that silver is very bulky. It takes a lot of silver to equal what you can get with gold. Gold is very dense. It has a lot of energy within it, because 1 ounce of gold equals to about, I don't know what, 90 or 100 almost ounces of silver now. So there's a lot of energy in that little 1 ounce of gold. So if you had to go somewhere in a hurry where you had to leave for whatever reason, it would be a lot easier for you to carry that gold with you than to be carrying all that silver. Why do I think silver is pertinent? I really think that silver in the long term is going to really outperform gold on a percentage basis, which means that I think that gold is going to go up considerably, because as I stated in the beginning of this live stream, gold has started what I believe is like a decadal, a 10 or more year bull market. And it's going to go up to places where people never thought that it would go. Jerry from Alaska Rare Coins and I have a small wager as to what the price of gold and silver will be by the end of this year. And I'll tell you right now what I think it's going to be. I could be 100% wrong, all right? So don't take my word for it. Do your own research. I think, looking at the charts, and I am a very novice technical analyst, very novice technical analyst, but looking at the charts, at the cup and handle that gold has shown, I would say that by the end of this year is going to be probably around 27 to 2,900, roughly, for gold. For silver, I think it's going to hit an all-time high at about $50, between $40 and $50. But that's what I think, right? And that's nothing compared to where it's going to go, all right, ladies and gentlemen? So at least that's what I think about gold and silver. Let's see. Let's see. Mario says that nutrient survival, Mountain House, nutrient survival, and peak refuel are the only ones that pass my taste test. Those three are great, great. I have them all. I have Mountain House, a whole bunch of Mountain House. I have peak fuel, and of course, I have nutrient survival. Those three are excellent freeze dry foods. But when you get them, compare the nutrition, and you'll see that nutrient survival will always come on top. But I'm not dogging Mountain House. Mountain House is very, very tasty. All right. And Peak Refuel is very tasty as well. Very, very good quality stuff. In the end, you're going to have to eat what it is that you're comfortable eating, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, bringing it down some. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to end it here in a little bit. All right. Hey, look at that. Mario is always coming up with these awesome comments. There is a difference between an EMP and a CME. People need to do some research on CME and EMP. They are two different things. EMP affects small electronics, CME affects large transformers. Well, it depends on the strength of the CME, Mario, right? It depends on the strength of the CME. But yes, you have a point. And I really like the part where you say you need to do your research. I agree 100%. People probably get tired of me saying that. Okay, bringing it down some. Okay, excellent. Here you go, Lord. 12-volt lithium BMS fails at 50 volts. Okay, that's 50 volts coming in. I see. I see what you mean now. Yes, 50 volts coming in. And EMP is 50,000 volts. It has been demonstrated in testing that when the BMS fails, the battery goes into an overcharging meltdown, explosive. Research lithium battery meltdown. People before. Yeah, that's fine, Dragon. People before sponsors. I get you. Pretty much, you're saying that. Uh, I get you, brother. All right, brother or sister. Okay, so what you're saying is that if the BMS fails, all right, so the BMS, what you're saying is that once you surpass the 50 volts coming in, the BMS is supposed to fail and not allow any more voltage coming in to overcharge the battery, right? Or to charge the battery too fast. And that if it does fail during an EMP, that an EMP produces a voltage of up to 50,000 volts, right? And that therefore, if the BMS fails during an EMP, that excess voltage is going to make your batteries catch on fire. Okay, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. And if you say that there's research that's been done, then I take your word for it. Do me a favor. I'm not being, a jackass. Excuse my French. I'm trying to put you on the spot or anything. Please send me the link to the research that you see on that because I really want to take a look at it. Okay. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate that. You're never too old to learn something, ladies and gentlemen. That's something I absolutely didn't know. I knew that the maximum voltage coming into an OUPES is 50 volts, and some other platforms are a little more. I think the Blue Eddy is like 60 volts. Okay, but don't quote me on that. It's been a long time since I looked at those specs. And then if you have more than 50 volts coming in, it's not going to charge properly, or it may not even let you charge it. North of the 52nd says a good complement to a solar system is a propane fridge freezer. I would love to review one of those. If I had the room to actually get a small propane fridge or freezer, I probably would just to review it because I think that those are pretty awesome. Hey, who knows? Maybe I'll get an RV or something like that this summer. Now that I'm getting into camping and stuff, maybe we'll get like a small RV, and a lot of those have those little propane fridge / freezers in them. So we'll see. Okay, bring it. Bringing it. Let's see. Mags Stewart asks, can you talk about your freeze dryer in an upcoming video or live stream? I like your opinion on how it helped you since you purchased. I'm considering purchasing a purchase of one. Well, I gifted my freeze dryer to someone that didn't have one and who's using it because I'm pretty much out of room for food. Right now, I'm just working or filling in the gaps. I'm in that spot in my pantry where I'm filling in the gaps. Excuse me. And the freeze dryer, to tell you the truth, with the way that we did our new kitchen, there was just not really any room for it. So I talked to my wife about it. And I was like, you know what? We just don't have that much room anymore to put it, especially with that new kitchen going in. And we've got so much meat put away, freeze dried, for long term storage. So I'm very satisfied with what we have as far as our food preparations go. And whenever you see me get any like food for a payday prep that you see me do, it's just filling in the gaps. Like this last payday prep that I did, I think I had some spam because it was on sale at Costco, and that's filling in the gaps. We actually eat spam in this household. So every maybe once a month or so, we'll take one or two cans out and fry it up for breakfast or whatever and eat it. And so every so many months, if they go on sale, which is a great time to get it, we go ahead and get a small case of it, which is what we did. So I really don't have a freeze dryer anymore, but I recommend one. Go watch some of my AP math videos where I did the math with the freeze dryer. You definitely make your money back. You get your return on investment back in a hurry if you freeze dry mainly meats, mainly proteins. So I actually did the math where I showed you comparing what I was freeze drying, all that I paid for it, comparing how much my freeze dryer cost to what it would cost for me to get the equivalent in like Mountain House beef cubes. And it only took me about 18 cycles on the freeze dryer to get my return on investment back for what I paid for that freeze dryer in the form of the difference that it would have cost me if I would have bought it in the open market, like number 10 cans of Mountain House. So I highly recommend a freeze dryer if you have the room for it. And if you have the room to just start freeze drying everything that you think you're going to like to eat, henceforth, and especially meats. You're going to make your money back on meats first and foremost. And you can even make a small business out of it. If you have a farmer's market near you, you can freeze dry Skittles, gummy bears, whatever, M&Ms. People will buy it. People will pay you $6 for $1 worth of M&Ms just because they've been freeze dried. I've seen it at the farmer's market here. Let's see. Susie B. Thank you, Susie. AP, this morning I took a video of the sun being covered by chemtrails. It was blinding to physically look at. But what do you make of this? I mean, what I call that is just slow kill. I call that slow kill, ladies and gentlemen. And people may think that I'm a theorist of some kind, but why else would they be doing that? If it wasn't to poison, our vegetation or poison us or do, experiments on us, why would they be doing it? Why won't they tell the people what they're doing? I mean, they're using our money, our tax dollars to do that, right? So why can't we know what's coming out of there? Well, there's been whistleblowers that pretty much say that they're spraying aluminum and I forget the name of the other chemicals that starts with a B, but chemicals that are really bad for you. And they've done soil tests in different parts of the country where there's a lot of heavy chemtrailing, and they've come back where, hey, this is really bad for your health. You shouldn't be drinking the water in this area, etc. So, I mean, that's what I make of it. What I make of it is that we've lost our country. In the United States of America, we've lost our country because we've got a lot of people in the 537 that sit atop Capitol Hill. We have a lot of people there that have sold us out, to other nations and to oligarchs and to NGOs. They've sold us out for money, ladies and gentlemen. And that's all there's to it, unfortunately. Okay. All right. Good night, Michael. Let's see what time. All right. It's about that time. Okay, Lord of the Rings says, I sent you an email with education points. You're wrong. Okay, thank you, man. I do appreciate it. All right, Lord Dragon, I do appreciate that. And I will take a look at it. I will definitely take a look at it. And maybe we can talk about it again during our next live stream. All right. But you're the first one that's actually sent me an email about the voltage and about the BMS and stuff. So good to know. And I will look for it. Oh yeah, yeah, Angela. I got rid of the freeze dryer before carnivore. I did, but the main reason why I got the freeze dryer was to put away meats. That's the main reason I got it before the carnivores thing and everything. But yeah, but most of the meats that I eat, if not all of the meats that I eat, is fresh meat that I get. That I get from the store. All right, so yeah. Yeah, AK Finn says freeze dry is $5,000. A dehydrated $25. Man, if freeze dryers are that expensive now, it may take you a few more loads before you can break even. Let me tell you that. But there is a difference between the quality of the food that is freeze dried compared to dehydrate it. So when you freeze dry something, it retains, like, from what I understand, like 98% or 97% of all of the nutrition within that food for, up to 25, 30 years, as long as you properly package it and store it. And when you dehydrate something, it doesn't keep as much of the nutrition of the food. And it is a lot cheaper, absolutely. But that's one of the big differences between freeze drying and dehydrating. And I believe that freeze drying also keeps the food where it tastes better. It reconstitutes a lot easier than if you dehydrated it. And it also maintains its cell structure, meaning that if you freeze dry a banana, it's going to look like a banana, not a little black chip, right? So either way, whatever you can do to prepare, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to have a freeze dryer to prepare. Absolutely not. Yeah, Angela, they can pretty much target anything. They can target anything with these things. I've seen a lot of documentaries on chemtrails and stuff like that. There's people that say that they don't exist, that it's just, from airplanes, but it can't be, because I've seen them before also here, maybe not directly above me, but I've seen them with the crisscross and stuff. I'm like, man, that can't just be a plane that's, doing its thing. It can't just be that. Maybe sometimes it is, but not that much the way that you see it sometimes. And I mean, they've talked about it in the open also, where they say that they want to put stuff into the atmosphere that's going to block the sun rays from staying in our atmosphere, which is pretty crazy as far as I'm concerned. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it. We're a little bit over an hour. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me say thank you very much for joining in today. Had a really good time. And thank you very much for all of the questions. And Dragon, I'm going to be taking a look at that email you sent. I actually can't wait. I'll probably end up doing it this Sunday, because I don't come into the bunker on Saturdays and I don't have time tonight. We're actually going to be going out to watch a game tonight. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, it's the end of the week. I'm sure you worked very hard this week. Don't ruin this week's work by going out there and doing something crazy to ruin your life. So don't drink and drive. If you're going to drink, have a great time, just don't drive. And if you're going to drive, don't drink. Get a designated driver, get an Uber, get a Lyft, get a cab, whatever it is. Just don't ruin your life over doing something that's going to bring you 1 or 2 seconds of joy, and then the rest of your life is gone. Right. Having said that, again, have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend ahead. And we'll see you all on Sunday. I'll have 1, maybe 2 videos up on Sunday, depending on what the news is looking like. And then we'll see you next week as well. Have a great weekend. Be safe. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper, and I am. Just a second. We got to get our outro out.